Welcome to the 80s and 90s presents 99, where every day is a party like it's 1999. Here's your hosts, Jamie Fenderson and Milo Dennison.
All right, Jamie, in our last episode, you said that 1999 was the best year in movies. Now, I, of course, questioned that, but I didn't have the research behind me to verify whether or not that was true. So we're going to see if, in fact, 1999 is the best year. Before I give you some opposing point of view, make your case again really quick for why it's the best year.
Here's my thought. There were so many good movies that came out that year. Mm-hmm. That's why I think it's the best year. I'm not saying other years were bad. I'm just saying 1999 had so many that it makes it the best year.
Well, I know you are a Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace fan, so I can see why you would pick a year that came out.
No. And well, I was originally going to make my case with box office numbers and compare year for year, but I threw that out.
Because you realized that was the highest grossing film of that year?
Yeah. And you know what the bad thing about that, the sad thing about it is? So this movie grossed like over $1 billion. But here's the thing. People don't like this movie. And why did it gross over $1 billion? It's because it's a Star Wars movie. And it was like the first Star Wars movie in 20 years. So everybody went to see it. I remember I went to see it and we all watched it. And I got up and there was this guy in front of me. And the guy literally said, wow, George must have been smoking some peyote when he made this crap. Like, people didn't like it, but they went to see it anyway because it's a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I was the same way. I went and saw it because it was a Star. I'm like, yay, a new Star Wars movie, finally. And then you watch it and you're like, oh my God, that was awful.
But it made over $1 billion because it's a Star Wars movie, which I think shows that life is unfair because it's a crappy movie. And I guess if you're 6, it's great. But otherwise, it's garbage. But it still made that much just because of the brand name and because everybody went to see it and everybody hated it, but they already spent their money on it, right? It's like you get on the bus and you pay, and then you realize you don't actually need to be on that bus ride, and you get off at the next stop. You're like, oh crap, I just paid for a bus ride I didn't need. That's what the Phantom Menace is. But with that said, that was one among many crappy movies in '99, but there were so many good ones. Right. Mm-hmm. And so what I did was I have a little spreadsheet here with some highlighted movies for every genre, just to show, because there are some years that maybe had a whole bunch of great action movies, but not a lot else going on. Maybe there were some years that had a lot of great drama movies or Westerns, but not a lot else going on. But this year had it going on in every way. And I'll make the case now. So that Star Wars crap was a science fiction movie and it was garbage, but there were a lot of other science fiction movies that came out that were awesome. The Matrix being one of them, right? Mm-hmm. Then you had other things like Existence, which I thought was a cool movie. The Astronaut's Wife was a cool movie. And one of my favorite movies of all time, Galaxy Quest, funny adventure, awesome movie that I think is a complete classic.
And it is in the top Star Wars films.
Yeah. Well, Star Trek films.
I mean, sorry. Yeah. That would have been a funnier joke if I said it correctly. It is one of the best Star Trek films ever made.
But here's the thing. People are asking, if you want to watch a sci-fi movie from '99, I'll say not Star Wars, but The Matrix and Galaxy Quest are outstanding movies, right?
Yeah.
Then you move into action where you got the Mummy was amazing. The Boondock Saints, awesome movie. Great year for animation with Toy Story 2, one of the best sequels ever, in my opinion. You had Tarzan, you had that South Park movie, which is hilarious. And you had a little known movie that grew into a bigger movie over time, The Iron Giant, which I think is one of the best animated movies ever, right? You had excellent biopics like The Man on the Moon, The Hurricane. Comedies were huge in '99. I have a whole list here. They were huge. American Pie, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, Being John Malkovich, Dogma. I mean, these are just some. One of my favorite movies, a couple of my favorite movies of all time, Mystery Men, which didn't do well, but got a cult following later. Office Space, again, didn't do well, but got a huge cult following later. That's my manifesto right there. Like that movie is awesome, right? Crime movies, Payback, which I think is one of the best Mel Gibson movies. I thought it was fun.
It was okay.
The General's Daughter was pretty good, even though it had Homeboy in it, who I'm not a big fan of. The Thomas Crown Affair, loads of fun, heisty movie. Right?
Thomas Crown Affair was good. Yeah.
Yeah. Drama, American Beauty, a huge cultural satire on American culture. Won Best Picture. Cruel Intentions was very hip, very cool. Magnolia, right? So you had a lot of great dramas.
I didn't like Magnolia.
You don't like it? Well, how about the Cider House Rules?
Cider House Rules I did enjoy.
How about the Green Mile?
Green Mile's brilliant. Yeah.
For every movie you might not like, there's 8 that you do, right?
True.
Family movies were fun. Stuart Little was loads of fun.
Mm-hmm.
They did Inspector Gadget, which I thought was kind of fun.
I didn't think that was fun.
It was kind of fun. But again, if you didn't like it, there are others.
Yeah.
Horror, you had Deep Blue Sea, where you get to see like sharks eating people and stuff.
That was fun.
Sleepy Hollow.
Good.
Stigmata. And the Blair Witch Project, which actually was nominated for Razzies, but it did excellent. And I think that started the whole footage.
Yeah, that found footage.
That found footage. That started that, man.
Style. Yeah.
And it made us buttload of money because it cost almost nothing to make, but it was huge.
Yeah.
I'm not a big rom-com fan, but we had ones that I like 10 Things I Hate About You, Blast from the Past, Runaway Bride, our favorite movie, She's All That, right? Thrillers, you had Fight Club, which was an amazing movie. Again, didn't do well, very controversial, got a cult following later. You know you have good movies if you have cult followings later and you didn't do well at the time because you're ahead of your time, right?
True.
The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
The Sixth Sense.
Good. Yeah. His best movie. M. Night Shyamalan's
well, his only good movie. With M. Night Shyamalan.
Start on a high note and work your way down from there.
Yep. Yeah, I like Double Jeopardy. That was a fun thriller.
It was fun, yeah.
And there weren't a lot of war movies, but Three Kings was one of the few war movies that came out. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But my point here that I'm trying to make is if I did the same analysis on any other year, I don't think that you would find so many good movies of every genre that there are in movies like you do in 1999. You might find a group of great action films or a group of great dramas or maybe good comedies and animation. But I think 1999 had great movies of every genre. And I just named off a whole bunch of them. And that's a small sample, brother. All right.
You make a very good point. And I'm not going to argue with most of those films. And every year has stinkers. I mean, just because you had, like you said, The Mummy, it also means you had Wild Wild West. Or,
Baby Geniuses.
Exactly. I'm going to give you 2 alternative years. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give you the one that I think competes with 1999. And I'm going to give you one that the internet competes with 1999. So let's start with the internet's choice. Okay. So this is doing the whole internet search, best year in movies. So according to the internet, 1939 was the best year in movies. So quite some time ago, but I'll give you a few examples from that year. Gone with the Wind and The Wizard of Oz, timeless classics. And you can still watch both of those films and still enjoy them. Although Gone with the Wind now in the whole hashtag get offended at everything era, that one's not doing as well. But The Wizard of Oz still is great. You also had Stagecoach, John Ford's John Wayne film, Dodge City, Errol Flynn, Olivia de Havilland, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Frank Capra, James Stewart. So you had a lot of really classic movies that came out then of Mice and Men. You had, if on the horror side, you had Son of Frankenstein starring both Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi in that one film. For science fiction, you had Buck Rogers. You had, so according to the internet anyways, 1939 was Hollywood's golden year, like the top year for films.
That's a good rebuttal though.
That's some
good stuff.
Yep. So I will give you my competing list to 1999, and I'm going to go 1 year prior and go 1998.
What?
As my alternative year. So you mentioned different genres. So under action, you had Saving Private Ryan, brilliant film. You had Soldier, Kurt Russell kicking ass. You had in the cult following, you mentioned cult following. Okay, well, we had The Big Lebowski. I mean, you can't get much more of a cult film than that, right? You had Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, another huge cult film.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get into kind of more dramatic thriller types. You had Out of Sight, Steven Soderbergh, George Clooney, and Jennifer Lopez, a very stylish kind of film. You had Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, American History X. You want something dark and gritty and well acted. You want some more action. You've got Blade, the first Blade movie. We had Rushmore, Wes Anderson's big debut film with Jason Schwartzman and Bill Murray. You've got comedies, of course, because you got to have your comedies as well. We had The Wedding Singer, a lot of fun. You had, what were some of the other comedies? I didn't really group these too well. Pleasantville came out that year, a lot of fun. Life is Beautiful. You had the award-winning Roberto Benigni.
Oh yeah, that's
film.
a good one.
Brilliant. Cartoons, you had Milan and A Bug's Life came out that year. There's Something About Mary. That was the other comedy I was thinking of. And if you're into indie films, Run Lola Run came out that year. That was huge indie film, and it's literally just a girl running. Buffalo 66. You had Dark City, which is science fiction, great film. Japanese horror films. You had The Ring came out that year, the original Ringu. So I'm going to go for 1998 as being my competition to 1999 that had, once again, a lot of the different genres, a bit of everything from different genre, and all really brilliant films.
Ooh,
Dang.
That's a good rebuttal. That's a good competition there.
Yeah.
Dang.
I mean, if you're going to go a great era, just go the last two years
of the 20th century. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they're right next to each other. So obviously there was something going on in Hollywood or in the rest of the world too. Like,
yeah,
they were just
and
making
they're all
some
being
good
produced around the same time.
Yeah.
I didn't mention Shakespeare in Love was the best Oscar winner that year, best picture. Yeah. And the top grossing film of that year was Armageddon, which was, a big budget, fun action film.
It's stupid though. It's so dumb.
It is stupid, but it's not Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
His movies are so stupid. Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Come on, Bruce Willis, Billy
Armageddon was 1998's Phantom Menace. Let's put it that way. Highest grossing trash. It was. I would now. It's not as bad as Phantom Menace. Don't get me wrong.
Special effects were better.
But it's we're gonna send a bunch of schlubs up to the asteroid and they're gonna drill a hole and put a nuke in it. Come on, man.
And we're gonna put a big gun on the front of their truck that they're gonna use to do it in space.
Michael Bay makes movies for the brainless. It's horrible. I think his movies are dumb. I think that's probably among the best movies he's ever made. Because all the others are worse. They're almost unwatchable. Yeah. It's unwatchable. It's Turtles and Transformers. It's just unwatchable for me. But it's dumb. Yeah. So it's interesting because both years had kind of not good movies that were the highest grossing.
Yeah. Big budget, science fiction,
trash.
A lot of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And Michael Bay and George Lucas are sitting up in their tower like, idiots. Drinking their champagne.
Yes, go watch our films.
Go watch our trash. Give us money.
You like it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad. That's good. That's interesting. You picked 1998 though, which is the year right next to mine. So, it's yeah. And with that, we're out of here. Like George Lucas and Michael Bay's dignity for making such crappy movies that made so much money. Peace. You go look at that. What was that asteroid movie called?
Armageddon.
You go look at that now. I don't know. when you're younger, I watched it with my then girlfriend. It's kind of nice, right? Oh, because all the love and emotion. But now you look
that
at
song,
it.
they got the Aerosmith
The
song.
Aerosmith song. Now you look at it. Oh, we're going to send all these goofy blue collar oil driller guys to the asteroid. Okay. Yeah.
What? That's believable. Come on. They do training. They train for it. Oh, you know what? I'm going to argue that Michael Bay did make a good film, and it is The Rock.
Oh, he made that?
Yep. That was a Michael Bay film.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he should have made more movies like that.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. I mean, it's unbelievable, but not stupid unbelievable, right?
Exactly. I would say that is his only good film.
Hey, Michael Bay, if you're listening, make more. If you're gonna make more movies, which I hope you don't, but if you do, can you make them more like The Rock, please? Because all your other movies are trash.
Yeah, Michael, come on, dude.
He's listening to us too. He's like, "Fuck you, Jamie. I'm gonna get you someday, bro." He's listening right now. Like, oh, I'll make a movie about you, about a dead podcaster. How about that?
Yeah, you guys are going to explode with lens flare and explosions.
It's going to be
dramatic action shots. Give me some explosions, more explosions.
CGI angles, yeah.